Donald Trump argues that the tariffs have made the United States safer. National security has been the core of the argument, posting that he spoke to the heads of GM and Ford and told them auto tariffs are a matter of national security. He has to say that. That's the justification before the Supreme Court. My next guest says that the tariffs are actually making the US less safe. She argues disrupting supply chains makes American defense production more expensive and could drive away overseas buyers. Shannon K. O'Neill is the Senior Vice President and Director of Studies at the Council on Foreign Relations and written this excellent piece in the article in Foreign Affairs. Shannon, the thing, as I read your article, I sort of wanted to scream and throw something at the wall, as if to say, why? Because what you're advancing is this classic argument that tariffs are generally bad in the long run, short run maybe, but they make you the globe up, etc. So if we're seeing that, why doesn't the administration, people like Howard Lutnick, the USTR, why are they so wedded to this policy?
You know, as I listen to them, their sort of theory of the case is that the United States will really reindustrialize, that we can bring all of that used to be done here, the 1950s and 60s, back to the United States. And I think the challenge was this theory. We'll see, they're trying it out. We'll see if this case works. But already the data we're seeing shows that, trade is down, both imports, but also exports from US companies, that manufacturing jobs are down, not up, that we're not seeing this reindustrialization in the short term. And all of the uncertainty around it is creating problems in the long term. And they're really focused so far on the commercial side of it, right? They're focused on the cars, or they're focused on the iPhones, or even the microwaves, as the vice president has mentioned. But what I'm really concerned about is actually the defense, the weapons of war, the way that we will make ourselves and our national security stronger. And there are real costs there as well.
If this continues as it is likely to do so, the head of the WTO, Ngozi Iweala, told me that 60-70% of world trade is still being done on WTO terms, best trade terms. It's only the US that seems to have done. And as we're seeing a rewiring of global trade routes, particularly with defense, the US will eventually lose out.
That's right. In fact, in just these first 9 months, we are seeing global trade up, not down.
Right.
The trade with the United States is down in relative terms. So you're already starting to see these rewiring of supply chains. And interestingly, as trade negotiators are coming to Washington to work with the Trump administration, they're also going to New Delhi, to Brasilia, to Europe, to Indonesia, to all kinds of countries all over the world, because they're striking other agreements there. And as those agreements set in, they'll set the rules of the game for the 85% of the globe's GDP, which is not the United States.
So the US is doing okay, though. Growth is there, unemployment's down, inflation is a bit high. But I would suggest to you that whilst what we're seeing on a macroeconomic state is a loss of opportunity, that the US could be doing better, could be growing faster, could be making more, and it's the tariffs that are pulling that down. But it'll never pull it, because the economy is so active and febrile, it'll never pull it down all the way.
Yeah, the United States economy in the end is a pretty closed economy. Trade is just not that big a part of the overall economy. And we are seeing lots of foreign direct investment come into the United States, not necessarily because of the tariffs, but really because of the promise of AI and energy. And we're just seeing it swamping the economy and increasing growth in many different parts of the country. But there are tailwinds. And as you say, if we didn't have tariffs, if we were seeing manufacturing outside of AI growing, then we could see even more growth. And the challenge of AI and energy is it's pretty concentrated. And so far, it isn't creating lots of jobs. It's these other industries, the sort of mom and pop industries, where you actually see real job growth for Americans.
I want to just finish on this idea of which is more worrying. I mean, I can see the policy reasons for the tariffs to bring back. But when tariffs are being used, as the new phrase now is geoeconomics, as a weapon of economics, as they are with Colombia or India or Brazil, where the tariff has absolutely no relationship to the reason for why it is being imposed, then all bets are off. And people in your business really can't do any forecasting because you don't know what's coming next.
Right, that's true. And look, when you look at the history of the world and the United States, there's times when targeted tariffs, specific tariffs do
Yeah.
make a lot of sense. There's some industries that you want because you want to be safer. You want to make semiconductors, you want to make basic medicine so that you have access to them. But these blanket tariffs, 50% here, 10% there, that just changes costs for everything. It raises costs for
Yeah.
everything. It doesn't protect particular interests. And that makes the US economy slower, not faster.
I'm grateful to you, Shannon. Thank you very much indeed for joining us.